Absolutely every person and every entity may need translations and language services. Thus, every individual and every company, every organization can be considered to be a potential customer of language services. The purpose of the marketing activities is to deliver our offers to as many potential customers as possible. We want to share our offer with them, we want to deliver our message, and we want to let them know what services we offer. However, it's obvious that we are not able to contact every person and every company in the world. However, it's not the only problem. An independent language professional with the highest language and professional skills cannot suit the needs of every potential customer. For example, a translator specializing in the field of microbiology will more probably fail to translate a legal document, and a brilliant legal translator may fail to translate a technical manual. So we see that our clients have different needs and different requirements. The purpose of the identification of target groups is to identify such categories of customers with whom we have more grounds for cooperation. The identification of target groups of potential clients is the first step to the effective marketing for every freelancer. The target groups work as a map, as a roadmap, as a plan that leads us to the prospective customers with whom we have better chances to start cooperation. That is why I strongly recommend every freelance language professional to start any marketing activities with the identification of target groups. This is a rather complex process, and today I would like to provide you with some recommendations and advice on how to make it in a more effective way and how to create such list of target groups that can be a good basement for contacting new clients and converting contacts into real customers. The first thing we should do before we can identify our target groups is to analyze our professional background, our experience, and find out what we can offer to our clients. I think there are 6 important points to be considered at this stage. The first thing, we need to analyze our educational background. During our studies at school, at the universities, colleges, usually we study a lot of various things, and even if we do not use them later in our professional life, this knowledge is in our mind and we can use it, we can develop our knowledge further. The second point is, of course, is the analysis of our professional experience. We need to check in what subject fields we are able to assure the best translations, the best quality of language services, and naturally these subject fields should be taken into consideration during the identification of target groups. The third point is our linguistic background. We need to analyze our professional experience in the field of language services to determine what services, what subject fields are the best for us, where we can use our knowledge and experience at the most. The fourth point, of course, we always need to refer to our previous projects. So we need to verify what our successfully completed projects, to find out in what subject fields we succeed most of all, what subject fields are the best for us. The fifth point is customer feedback assessment, and here I think it is one of the most important points, because sometimes it happens so that we consider ourselves to be professionals in one field, but our customers like our translations and other language services in other subject fields. So when we identify target groups, of course we need to consider customer feedback, because if our clients are happy with our translations in some subject fields, even if we do not consider ourselves to be professionals, that means that we need to develop our skills in the corresponding subject fields, and we should use these subject fields for our target for the identification of the target groups of potential customers. Of course, and the sixth point, the last one, but not less important, is our area of interest. Believe me, if you are not interested in some subject field, more probably you won't be able to reach the best possible results. We should work on something that we like. We should work on something that is interesting for us. So some language professionals start their professional development in some subject fields they do not like, just because they know that the customers in such target groups usually pay more than other groups. But without true interest, without true passion, you won't be able to assure the necessary level of quality of your translations. You should be interested in something you are working on. When you identify your target groups, you need to remember 4 essential principles. The first one is objectivity. We should always stay cold-minded when we identify target groups of our potential clients. There can be no illusion. For example, we should always analyze if a potential client really needs translation services, or we would like to believe that this or that company may need our services. For example, imagine there is a store in your city that sells computers, electronics from all over the world. I think initially we may consider such store to be a good client, to be a permanent customer of language services, because they work with producers of various electronics residing in various countries, and they need to translate manuals and other documentation to sell their such products. But is it really so? No, because normally, usually all translations of manuals, warranties, product descriptions are in the responsibility of importers of such products or producers of such products. So when a new product arrives to a country, usually it is accompanied with all necessary documentation. So the function of such store is only to sell such products, and actually they do not need translations and language services at all, or their requirement for such services is quite low. The second principle of identification of target groups of potential customers is limiting. We should understand that our target groups should not be huge, because if they are huge, they include millions of customers, it will be hard to analyze the effectiveness of our marketing activities afterwards. So ideally our target groups should not be too big. At that, they should not be too small, because if a target group includes only 20 or 30 potential customers, it is not effective, because you just send 30 proposals and the probability of getting positive replies is rather small. Later I provide you with an example what I consider to be a huge target group and what I consider to be a small target group. The third principle of identification is similarity. If during a year you translated some projects for one company operating in one field, more probably the other companies working in the field have similar needs. So if you have positive experience with customers of one type, you should proceed with them. You should find more companies or more individuals or organizations working in the same field. If you have been working with a construction company since long ago, if you have been providing them with translations and language services, more probably other companies working in the same location, specializing on the same types of construction, might need your services too. I think this trend is typical for various areas. If one company needs something, more probably other companies working in the same area need the same too. And the fourth principle that is often forgotten by freelance language professionals is the principle of adjacency. What does it mean? We should understand that if one company produces some equipment, there is another company that develops software for this equipment. There is also the third company that is responsible for installation of such equipment, and more probably there is a fourth company that takes care of maintenance and repair. So when you identify one target group, for example, producers of some equipment, you should keep in mind that there are at least three possible adjacent target groups. Those who provide some additional services like software, those who take care of installation, and those who take care of maintenance and repair. So instead of, if it is so, that means that you have just identified not one target group, but 4 target groups. You can see the metrics for target group identification on your screen. I prepared these metrics to help language professionals to create a list of target groups that they may use for their freelance business development. Let's take a look. Each target group should have a core element. The core element is something we start with, for example, equipment or machine tools. Then we need to apply different limits, because producers of equipment or importers of equipment is a too big target group to be processed. So we add possible limits, for example, involvement type, functional limit, industrial limit, or relation to the location. And again, we shouldn't forget that very often when we think over about our potential customers, we only pay attention to companies and individuals residing or operating within some location. However, we shouldn't forget that the relation to some specific location can be different. As it is shown in the metrics, this might be company exporting to having partners in some specific location, or maybe importing from this location. So there are many possibilities, and they should be considered when we identify our target groups. I strongly recommend to have a list of 5 to 10 active target groups. So of course you need to spend time to analyze your previous experience, your professional background, and then you start creating this list. But I suppose that step by step you are going to add more potential target groups to this list. And this is an ongoing work, so it's good when we can add more target groups to our to the list of target groups. And here is I would like to add one more thing. When you analyze your professional experience, your background, when you think over about your interests and so on, it is really effective to write down some aspects of your professional experience or some aspects of your educational background that may have an effect on your client's decision to start cooperation with you. Why? Because we can use these pieces of information later to personalize our emails, to personalize our marketing activities. If you would like to learn more about personalization of proposals, you may find my video about levels of personalization and personalization points, so it may be also useful. When you have a list of of target groups of potential customers, you should start processing them step by step. Do not try to work on all of them. Take the first one, collect some contacts or perform some marketing activities. Then for example, after sending 200-300 emails to one target group, make a break. Start processing the second target group. And while processing the second target group, you can always observe and analyze what replies do you receive from the first target group. If you see that the potential customers of the first target group are really active and they are really interested in the services that you offer, it is a good sign, and it can be a sign that you should return to your first group to send even more proposals, because maybe at this time potential clients of this target group are more interested in translations and language services than potential customers of other target groups. At that, if you receive no replies or only negative replies from another target group, that means that maybe you made a mistake. Maybe the customers of this category do not need translations and language services at all. What for to spend time collecting even more contacts if you can move to your third target group? So a list of target groups also help you to balance your time, to spend your time wisely, not to waste without wasting time on those potential clients that more probably will never get back to you because they do not need such services. So as you can see, as you know, marketing is a permanent task for all freelancers. The work on target groups, the identification of target groups is also a permanent thing. You should keep doing it. It's a part of your marketing activities. And I would like to add one more thing. Remember, there is no useless experience. If you had a part-time job during your student times, for example, you work at a florist shop as an assistant, it may be a good idea to emphasize this aspect of your experience when you contact companies specializing in importing and exporting flowers. So always analyze your experience, always analyze your background from such point of view. You should always search for any possible grounds for cooperation with your potential clients, and when you contact such customers, you should use these grounds for cooperation. You should put them forward to make your offer resonate with your potential customers.